Dom Francisco de Almeida, Portuguese pronunciation, Frcisco de Almeida, also known as the Great Dom Francisco, c. 1450 to 1 March 1510, was a Portuguese nobleman, soldier and explorer. He distinguished himself as a counsellor to King John II of Portugal and later in the wars against the Moors and in the conquest of Granada in 1492. In 1503 he was appointed as the first governor and viceroy of the Portuguese State of India. Estado da Índia. Almeida is credited with establishing Portuguese hegemony in the Indian Ocean, with his victory at the naval Battle of Diu in 1509. Before Almeida could return to Portugal, he lost his life in 1510. His son Lourenço de Almeida II was killed in the Battle of Chaul in 1508. Exploits as soldier. Almeida was born at Lisbon. As was customary for men in his social circle, he joined the military at an early age. In 1476 he took part in the Battle of Douro. Then he fought in conflicts in different parts of Morocco and in 1492 participated in the Christian conquest of Granada on the side of the Castilians. Mission to the east. In 1505 King Manuel I of Portugal appointed Almeida, then in his mid-50s, as the first viceroy of Portuguese India, Estado da Índia, with an armada of 22 ships, including 14 carracks and 6 caravels. Almeida departed from Lisbon on 25 March 1505. The armada carried a crew of 1,500 soldiers. The flagship was the carrack São Rafael, captained by Fernão Soares. The mission's primary aims were to bring the spice trade under Portuguese control, to construct forts along the East African and Indian coasts, to further Portuguese spice trade through alliances with local chieftains, besides constructing trading posts. African conquest. Almeida rounded the Cape of Good Hope and entered African coastal waters again at Sofala and the island of Mozambique, whence they proceeded northwards to the coastal settlement of Kilwa. In July 1505 they employed 8 ships to attack and conquer the circa 4,000-strong population of this harbour town, because of the good harbour that the town provided, sufficient for anchoring ships up to 500 tons. The Portuguese decided to build a fort here. For this purpose Pero Ferreira and a crew of 80 soldiers remained in the town. In August 1505 the Portuguese arrived at Mombasa, a coastal port further north. The city, with a population of about 10,000, was conquered in heavy combat against the troops of the local Arab sheikh. The city was plundered and torched. The Portuguese were assisted in this attack by a Mombasa enemy, the Sultan of Malinde. The same month a caravel of Almeida's fleet, captained by John João Homea, captured Zanzibar Island and claimed it for Portugal. Viceroy in India. On 25 March 1505, Francisco de Almeida was appointed Viceroy of India, on the condition that he would set up 4 forts on the southwestern Indian coast, at Angediva Island, Cananor, Kochi and Quilin. Francisco de Almeida left Portugal with a fleet of 22 vessels with 1,500 men. On 13 September, Francisco de Almeida reached Angediva Island, where he immediately started the construction of Fort Angediva. On 23 October, he started, with the permission of the friendly ruler Colatiri, the building of St. Angelo Fort in Cananor, leaving Lourenço de Brito in charge with 150 men and 2 ships. Francisco de Almeida then reached Kochi on 31 October 1505, with only 8 vessels left. There he learnt that the Portuguese traders at Quilin had been killed. He decided to send his son Lourenço with 6 ships, who wantonly destroyed 27 Calicut vessels in the harbour of Quilin. Almeida took up residence in Kochi. He strengthened the Portuguese fortifications of Fort Manuel on Kochi. The Zamorin of Calicut prepared a large fleet of 200 ships to oppose the Portuguese. But in March 1506 his son Lourenço de Almeida intercepted Zamorin's fleet in a sea battle at the entrance to the harbour of Cananor. The Battle of Cananor inflicted heavy loss. Hereupon Lourenço de Almeida explored the coastal waters southwards to Colombo, modern Sri Lanka. Meanwhile, the Zamorin succeeded in convincing the collaterie of Cananor of the true imperialistic motives of Portuguese in Kerala. The collaterie was already annoyed and angered with the Portuguese for their violation of the safe conduct guaranteed to the ships of Muslim merchants of Cananor. The collaterie put up a common fight against the Portuguese besieging Fort St. Angelo at the siege of Cananor. In 1507 Almeida's mission was strengthened by the arrival of Tristão da Cunha's squadron. Afonso de Albuquerque's squadron had however split from that of Cunha off East Africa and was independently conquering territories to the west. In March 1508, at the request of the Arab merchants of Calicut, an Egyptian fleet under the command of Emir Hussein al-Kurdi, Mir Hussein, of the Mameluke Egyptian attacked and defeated the Portuguese squadron under command of Lourenço de Almeida at Chaul in the Battle of Chaul. Lourenço de Almeida was killed in this battle and led to a temporary retreat by the Portuguese from the Indian waters. Afonso de Albuquerque arrived at Cananor at the close of 1508 and immediately made known an hitherto secret commission he had received from the king empowering him as governor to supersede Almeida at his term as viceroy. Almeida, determined to avenge the death of his son and free the Portuguese prisoners made at Chaul, refused to recognize Albuquerque's credentials immediately, and later arrested him. In 1509, Almeida became the first Portuguese to set sail in Bombay. He sought Meliquis, to whom he had written a menacing letter, and the Mameluke Mirsem, fiercely investing at the naval Battle of Diu on 3 February 1509, commanding a fleet of 23 ships near the port of Diu. He inflicted a decisive defeat on a joint fleet from the Mamluk Burji Sultanate of Egypt, the Ottoman Empire, the Zamorin of Calicut and the Sultan of Gujarat, with technical naval support from the Republic of Venice and the Republic of Ragusa. Dubrovnik, that feared for its eastern trade links. His victory was decisive. The Ottomans and Egyptians left the Indian Ocean, enabling Portuguese trade monopoly over Indian waters for over 100 years, into the 17th century when it was ended by the Dutch and English. Albuquerque was released after 3-month confinement. On the arrival of the Grand Marshal of Portugal with a large fleet, in November 1509, return and death. Almeida sailed for Portugal in December 1509 and reached Table Bay near the Cape of Good Hope, where the Garcia, Belém and Santa Cruz dropped anchor late February 1510 to replenish water. There they encountered the local indigenous people, the Khoi. After friendly trade with the Khoi, some of the crew visited the nearby village where they tried to steal some of the locals' cattle. Almeida allowed his captains Pedro and Jorge Barreto to return to the village on the morning of 1 March 1510. The village's cattle herd was raided with the loss of 1 man, while Almeida awaited his men some distance from the beach. As the flagship's master Diogo Dernhaas moved the landing boats to the watering point, the Portuguese were left without a retreat. The Khoi sensed the opportunity for an attack, during which Almeida and 64 of his men perished, including 11 of his captains. Almeida's body was recovered the same afternoon and buried on the shorefront of the current Cape Town. Relatives and subjects. Almeida was the son of the first Count of Abrantes and one of a number of highly distinguished siblings, including 2 bishops, an ambassador to the Holy See, and the Portuguese head of the Order of Malta. His son, Lourenço, was killed in battle, but he was survived by a daughter, Leonor, who married Rodrigo de Mello, Count of Portugal. Precursors of the Dukes of Cadaval, Ferdinand Magellan, Fernão de Magalhães, accompanied Almeida to the east, but was promoted to captain and only returned in 1512 after losing that commission. See also Lourenço de Almeida, his son, 7th Portuguese India Armada, Almeida, 1505, exploration of Asia, Fernão Lopes de Castanheda's account of Almeida's mission, Francisco de Almeida in the German National Library Catalogue, The Story of Almeida, by Ian D. Colvin, The Baldwin Project, Paul Luna, The Coming of the Portuguese, 2006, Saudi Aramco World, Not of Stone, The Day That Changed South Africa's History, 2011, by Nicolaas Vergunst, Arena Books, UK.